Hey guys, good morning, good afternoon. Today what we're gonna do is we are going to discuss about the cloud library configuration. We are going to see that how we can configure any of the cloud storage. Like if I talk about the S3 bucket, Microsoft Azure Blob storage or the Google Cloud storage. If you want to use those storage as your backup target, you want to configure them as a cloud library in your infrastructure, then how you can do that? What are the best practices that you have to keep in mind, how the data will flow, and all those points we are going to discuss in this session. So what we are going to do is, in this specific session, we are going to configure the Azure Blob storage as a cloud library. So we have a storage account on which we have we have a Microsoft Azure account on which we have created a storage account. Inside that storage account, we have created a blob storage, and we are going to configure the backups or the cloud library for that particular blob storage. Like, we are going to use that blob storage as a target by the Commvault. Okay, so let me try to explain you that scenario with the help of one example, with the help of the diagram. So what will happen right now? I have a one VM on my on-premise. I have a VM on which I have installed the ComServe and media agent packages both. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to configure a cloud library on this particular ComServe and the media agent. I have a storage account in the Azure cloud. I have created Azure cloud. In that Azure cloud, I have a storage account that I have created. And on this Azure cloud as well, I have some like one VNet, a virtual network, which have its own private IP range. And inside that particular virtual network, I have a subnet inside which the VMs or might be some workload or other workload is running. Okay, so these VMs and all of them have got the private IP from the range that you have assigned for the VNet. But your storage account is a service which is provided by the Commvault, which is provided by the Microsoft. So Microsoft, it is not lying inside any of the VNet. If you want to access this particular storage account, if you make any HTTPS request, so any HTTPS request made, like using the HTTPS request, you can access this particular storage account. So what we're gonna do is right now, this on-prem ComServe, if this on-prem ComServe want to access this particular storage account, in that case, it will be done via internet, through the internet, as if now by default. Okay, so it will be a kind of a, when you create a storage account, there is kind of a DNS entry on that will be created on the Microsoft Azure DNS server, and that will be like through the internet, the traffic will be reaching to the storage account. So when the Commvault will try to take a backup or write the backup on the storage account, so it will be sent, all the traffic will be going over the internet. Okay, so right now what we are going to do is we already have this storage account. We will add this storage account inside this Commvault console, okay, as a cloud library. So we'll see step by step process, what is the information that we required from the storage account, how we can retrieve that information, and then how we can add that particular storage account as a cloud library. So let's start with the practical session. Now guys, this is the Commvault console that we have, the ComServe console, the on-prem server that we have. Okay, so on this particular server, we will go to the storage resources. In the storage resources, we have a tab of libraries. We'll right click on this one and say add, and we will say cloud storage library. Okay, in the name, you can provide any name that you want to provide to this particular library. So I will say, let's suppose cloud lib 1 is a cloud library 1, and then in that in the just below the device, we have the type in which we can select the type of storage. So for us, these are the type of storage, the cloud storage, which are supported by Commvault for backing up. Okay, so very long list for the compatibility. Now what we are going to select is we are going to select Microsoft Azure storage. Once you have selected Microsoft Azure storage, it will be asking you the media agent who will be on which this particular cloud library will be configured. So you can select any media agent that you have in your list, which you want should be connected to this, or which will connect to this particular cloud library. Now, once you have that, after that, in the under the access information, it is asking you for the authentication. Now, in the authentication, there are two ways to authenticate to the Commvault, to the Azure account, to the storage account. So what does it mean, this X authentication?
application. So see, this Commvault is working as a third-party application for the Microsoft Azure. So what you want is Microsoft Azure should able to authorize this Commvault to write the data on your storage account. So Microsoft should be able to authorize this particular application. Now, how it is going to authorize? You have to provide some username and password. You have to provide some permission in some way. So there in the authentication, there are the two ways. There are the two methods in which you can authenticate Commvault to your Microsoft Azure storage account. That is access and secret key. These are the access and the secret key assigned to your storage account, which you can use it to authenticate, or you can assign the roles or permission to the user using the IAM/VM role assignment. Right now, the simplest way is the access and the secret key. So we will select access and secret key. After that, if you select the access and secret key, service host will be updated automatically. That is blob.co.windows.net. So this is kind of a host to which Commvault will communicate first, will connect to the first in order to connect to the your storage account. Now, which is by default coming up. So I have to define now in the credential, I have to define the access key and the secret key. So if there is any credential which is already saved, you want to use them, you will be seeing them in the list, but I don't have any credentials saved as of now. So what I will do is I will say create new. In the create new, in the credential name, you can give it anything. Let me give as a test one. In the account name, you have to provide the storage account name. So on the cloud, I have created the storage account with the name test disk lib 2. You can see the name of this storage account, the test disk lib 2 over here. Inside that container, I have created a container with the name blob1. So I am going to configure the backup on this storage account, that is test disk lib 2. Okay, so I will just go inside the Commvault. Coming back in the over here, I can define the name of that storage account. Okay, so I've given that name. You remember that when you create this storage account in the Microsoft Azure, it should be unique worldwide. So if that name is already occupied by someone, then it will say that, you cannot take this name, you have to take another name. So you can take any name that you want, which is available, of course. So after that, you can say account name. Once you have given the account name, now you have to provide the access key for this account, for this storage account. Now, how you can retrieve it? You can go to the the Microsoft Azure portal. You can select this storage account. Once you select this storage account, over here on the left hand side pan, there is something under the setting, there is something coming up with the name access key and all. So once you click on the access key, this is the key which is there. So key 1 and key 2 are there. So you can select any of the key that you want from there. So let me select the key 1. So once I selected the key 1, I will go back to the Commvault portal. And once I go to the Commvault portal, I will just provide the access key. I will say Control V. And that's it. Once you have given that, a credential will be created with the name test1. So I will just click on OK. Now, once you click on OK, you can see the credential has been created with the name test1. It has by default been selected. Now, you have provided the credentials that will be used by Commvault to interact with that storage account. Okay, that will be used by the Commvault to authenticate that storage account, to use that storage account. Now, once you have given the authentication, now under the container, I should able to see the blob1, but I'm not able to see that. So what I can do is, even this step will also verify that whether the credential given, they're working right or not. So you can simply click on detect. Once you click on detect, you will be able to see the container, if there is any container inside that storage account. So I have only one container that is available. If you have a multiple one, all of them will be available in the drop down. So I have only one, that was a blob1, that you can verify again. Like if I go to the storage account on the cloud, and in the cloud, if in the storage account under the blob service, if I go to the containers, I will still be able to see that blob1. So this is what it has been picked up. Okay, now after that, once you have selected the container, after that on the lower side, you need to select the storage class. Okay, in the storage class, you get multiple classes of the storage over here. By default, it says use container default storage class. So once you create, while you're creating a storage account on your Microsoft Azure portal, at that time it asks you what is a storage class under which you want to create it, hot or cool. So at that time, whatever you have mentioned, if you will select this option, use container defaults storage class, that will be used. Otherwise, you can select any specific one that you want in your environment. Now, if you want to check that, currently, like if you want to use this option of use containers default storage class and a storage account, you want to check that, what storage class my storage account has been created for. So you can simply go to that storage account, and the storage account, you can click on the overview and you can see the access tier. Right now, the access tier is the hot. Okay, so if you select, coming back to the Commvault, so if you select this option of saying storage class, you select use container default storage class, so it will be creating, or it will be keeping up the data on the hot tier. Okay, now after that, you can also specify that, which particular one that you want to use. Okay, if you don't want to use the default one, so you can say hot, cool, hot and archive, cool and archive, and archive. Okay, basically there are three tiers: hot, cool, and archive. Okay, now if I try to tell you at a very high the high level, the difference between the hot, cool, and archive. The first difference is of course the hot is the costliest one. Cool is the like it's a little lesser than the hot, and the archive one is the cheapest storage cloud that you can say. Now costing of this particular storage, if you want to see, you can go to the pricing calculator that is provided by the Azure. On that one you will be able to see that per GB how much you will be charged by the Microsoft. Now if I talk about the hot tier is used in a scenario where you're expecting there is a lot of read and write operation. The write operation, the read operation, there will be a lot more read operation on your particular disk. So in that case, you are going to do the hot tiering. Now, if you are saying cool tier, if you select cool tier, then in the cool tier, we are expecting that there will be a lot of write operation, but the read operation will be limited one. Whereas in the archiving, we are expecting that there will be a write operation, there will be a lot of write operation, but the read operation will be very less, very, very less. Because in all these tier, in the cloud storage, there is a cost of retrieving the data. That means when you're from the Commvault perspective, when you're going to perform the restoration of that data, at that time you will be charged. Okay, so in order to minimize that one, like in order to like keeping that particular fact in mind, then you can select those particular tier over here depending upon how much restoration requests you are getting. Now you can even have the combined storage tier. Okay, it says hot archive, cool archive. What does it mean by the hot archive? See, in the archive, if you will put the data entirely, your all the backed up data in the archive. So we know from the indexive perspective that in the when we do the backups during the archive index phase, that is from 85 to 100%, during that time the index is also kept along with the backup on my library. So if tomorrow my data is lying, all the data is lying on the archive, there is a long-term data or something like this which is lying on the archive, or even let's suppose my daily basis my data is lying on the archive one. Now even tomorrow if you want to see that what files has been backed up, then the might be the indexing need to be recovered from your library, because the retention of your index by default on the media agent is of 15 days. Simple. If you want to restore any data which is older than 15 days, of course you can control that 15 days, but if you want to restore your data which is older than 15 days, then in that case indexing need to be recovered from your storage. So if you will indexing will be recovered from the archive storage on a daily basis, you are trying to read the data or something like this, then there will be a cost involved that for that one. Also, if I'm going to keep all my data, let's suppose I'm not doing a lot of restoration, I'm just always looking at what data has been backed up inside some backup job, I'm running the index query. In that case, if I'm going to put it on the hot, then ultimately, like if I'm putting it on the hot, that means the retrieval cost is not that large, but overall storage cost per GB cost for that particular storage is already very high. So what Commvault has done, keeping all these points in mind, they have given you the combined storage tier. When you say hot slash archive, this means the metadata archiving, the index related metadata will be kept on the hot tier, whereas the actual data will be kept on the archiving. So in that case, if you want to read the data, just want to read the index, in that case there will be not a very cost that will be involved in that one. Plus in the hot tier and the cool tier, the data is available instantly, whereas the archiving, it will take little more time. They have the SLA of, I think, if I'm not wrong, if I'm not mistaken, they have a SLA of 2 to 4 hours. I think they will be able to recover, you will be able to recover or read the data into 2 to 4 hours. So you have in the archiving tier, you have to wait for the data, you have to wait even to read the index, you have to wait for few hours. So what I can do is I can put the data in the hot and archive combined tier, in which index will be kept on hot and the actual data will be kept on archive. So if I want to read the index, if I want to see what data has been backed up under this particular backup job, I can just read that one from the hot tier on which the data is always available. I can read the data instantly. Whereas if I want to do the restoration, in that case data will be recovered from the archive one, and which might be have the SLA of 2 to 4 hours, and it will be recovered to you. That is the second thing. So in this way, Commvault has given you that combined tier option. So in the hot or cool, only the metadata will be placed, and in the archiving tier, the data will be placed. So in this way, indirectly, you are reducing the amount of data that you are going to recover from the archiving storage. You're reducing your overall cost. So that option is also available over here that you want to use if you want to use. So what I will say is, I will say use container default storage class. Okay, I will use simple whatever that I have mentioned in the storage class. That is the hot tier that I want to use, and that's it. Now, once you click on OK, you will be able to see that particular disk library coming up over here. Sorry, the cloud library coming up over here. Now, we'll just wait for this window to go off, and once this window is gone, you will be able to see the cloud library, and this you can see the sign is for the cloud library. Now you can see the cloud lib one, and if you will expand, you can see it's coming up from the blob one, and the status that has been shown is as ready. Okay, now in any case, like you have a problem tomorrow, you have some issues tomorrow, you want to verify the connectivity to this particular cloud library. Okay, you want to verify the connectivity, whether Commvault is able to reach this particular cloud library or not. So in that case, what you can do is, there is a tool lying on your base directory of your ComServe, program files, Commvault, content store, base. There is a tool with the name cloud test tool.exe. Open that one. Once you open that, it will 1 minute. Let's start from the scratch. We'll just open this one. We'll go to the base folder. Okay, where this cloud test tool is lying. So we'll go to the Commvault content store. In the content store, we have a base folder, and you can just try to look for a file cloud test tool. So you can see there is a tool coming up with the name cloud test tool. You will click on this cloud test tool. Okay, now we will even see that how you can use this cloud test tool. So you will just simply click on enter. Now it is asking you that what should be the cloud vendor for which you want to trying to check the connectivity. So for me, it's a Microsoft Azure storage, which is coming out on fourth number. Okay, so I will put the phone number and click on enter. Now it is asking me the enter host name. This is a host name, blob.co.windows.name. This is a host name to which the Commvault will connect to access the storage account. I will just simply click on enter without entering anything. By default, it will pick up this value only. So I will click on enter. Now it is asking me the storage account name, which is for me is the test disk lib2. That's it. And then after that, it will ask me the access key. So I can again go back and try to access the access key from there. So what I can say is I will copy this key. Now, once I have copied this particular key, what I can do is I will go back to this particular tool and say paste this one. So once the key has been pasted, after that, you can enter the container name, which is a blob one. And if you want to verify, you can go to the containers over here. Okay, you can go to the containers. Now once you go to the containers, you can see that one, blob one. Okay, so this is a container for which I'm trying to check the connectivity. So I put the container name as well, and I will enter. Okay, now it is asking me to verify the information which is given over there. So press 1 to continue. So I will just click on enter. Now once I click on enter, now it is asking me what operation you want to perform on this one. You want to perform the upload and download speed test, upload test file, download test file, whatever you want to do. So I will say, let's suppose I want to upload and download the speed test. Okay, see, it is showing me all these content because it is able to make the connectivity. But let's see, if I will select one. Now it is asking me the full file name, upload or press enter to randomize buffer. I will say just put on enter. I'm not going to put anything. Then enter the maximum number of threads to upload. I will say 5 by default. I will just click on enter. The value of the file size, I can say, let's suppose 5 MB of size of file that I want to upload. Then the sub chunk size, let's suppose 10 MB, the size of the chunk. And do you want to use a local temporary file? I can say yes, I don't have any problem with that. So I will just again say one. And now it is saying uploading files to this blob, this blob one slash CV cloud temp folder. It is creating a temp folder and it is trying to install, upload the files inside it. Okay. Now it says that it has done something. It has uploaded and it's showing me the speed as well. So I will just verify that. I will go to the blob one. Once you go to the blob one, you can see that CV cloud temp folder that has been created over here. So that means like this is how you can, it's asking you for the information. So this is how you can actually verify whether the connectivity is happening fine or not. So you can always come to this cloud test tool and you will be able to verify the connectivity. So it is able to download the files as well at the 1 MB per second of the speed. So this is how, using this Commvault cloud test tool, you will be able to verify the connectivity. In any case tomorrow, if there is some access problem, connectivity problem, whatever it is, you will be easily able to verify this cloud Commvault test tool. Now coming back to this one, cloud library, I have created one cloud library. Now I want to back up the data to this particular cloud library. So what I will do is I will go to the storage policy. Okay. I will create one storage policy in which I can select this cloud lib one as a data path. So I will say right click on the storage policy, say new storage policy. I can say data protection and archiving. Let's say SP test 4. Let me create this one. Click on next. Once you click on next, now it is going to ask you if you want to use an existing pool. Let's suppose we are not going to do any deduplication as of now. Do it without deduplication. If you want to do it, you can select that. If you have any global DDB or something like this available. Okay, 1 minute. I think I need to select the correct library. So it's a cloud library only. Now you can see in the data path, I have selected cloud lib one only. I have a DL1 as well, which is a disk library, but I will select cloud lib and click on next. For how long you want to, you can define the media agent. Then you can define for how long you want to keep that data. Let's suppose I want to keep it for 10 days, one cycle. Click on next. If you want to enable the deduplication on this storage policy, the first step that we got was a global for the global one, and for this one it's a local DDB that you want to create specific for this storage policy. I don't want to do a deduplication right now, so I will just simply click on next without encryption and click on finish. Now once you click on finish, there will be one storage policy that will be coming up with the name SP test 4. I will apply this storage policy SP test 4 on one of the subclient and we'll try to take backup. So if I select SP test 4 over here, you will be able to see the library as a cloud lib one in this one. Now, if I go to the client computers, if I go to the ComServe, I go to the file system, I go to the default backup set. Let's suppose we want to back up this subclient with the name test. So what I will do is I will go to the properties. Uh, in the storage device, we can select the storage specific storage policy that we want to use, and that's it. In the content, we have a share do folder, something like this. We'll just click on OK. Now once you click on OK, you will see the subclient content subclient storage policy getting modified to the SP test 4. So we'll just wait. You can see that now if I want to, you want to initiate a backup, you will say right click and backup. Once you click on backup, you can say full backup. I want to take a full backup and click on OK. Now once you click on OK, you will go to the job controller. In the job controller, you will be able to see a job coming up to back up the data to the cloud. We'll just wait for that job to show up. Yes, there is a job ID 2130 that has been initiated. Okay, you can see that through this media agent it is running. SP test 4 is a storage policy it is using. So what we will do is we'll just wait for this particular backup job to get complete, and once it get complete, we'll try to go to that library and see the chunks getting created on that cloud storage or not. So we'll just wait for that particular backup to get complete. So guys, you can see this job got completed, 2130 job ID, and it got completed, and the backup has been written 100%. Okay. Now, if you want to verify the content, what you can do is you can go inside, you can go on this folder, and inside that you should be able to see the CV magnetic folders, and then you can see the V160 and all that coming up over here, and you will be able to see the chunks getting written over there. So the backup has been taken on this one, okay, on this particular library. Now So now guys, see, this is what we have implemented as of now. Right now, what is happening? The data from the on-prem is traveling to internet, and from the internet, like making a HTTPS request, and through the HTTPS request, it is reaching to the storage account. Okay. Now, this is kind of a something you can say a security concern, because our data from the on-premise is traveling over the open internet to reach to the storage account, and that can be a security breach for our backup environment. So to verify that thing first, that my data is traveling over the internet, okay, what you can do is you can go back to your Commvault or media agent, okay, you can go to the CMD, you can go to the command line, okay, in that command line you can try to trace the route by putting up the command trace RT, and you can put the full URL for your storage account. Now the URL will be test disk lib2, this is the name of my storage account, dot blob dot core dot windows dot net. Okay, and just click on enter. Now once you click on enter, you're able to see that one when it's trying to connect to this one, the to this particular URL, it is taking up some public IP. It is trying to reach some public IP, which is a random IP 50.239.169.100. This is not an IP from my local server, this is not the IP from the cloud of my VNet or anything like this. So it is some cloud, this is some public IP on which the traffic is trying to reach. So since it's going to the public IP, that means the data will be traveling over the internet. Okay, this is how you can verify this thing. Okay, now how we can overcome that? Okay, how we can overcome this scenario, how we can make sure that it is traveling not on the internet but on the secure connection that we are going to create with the cloud. So for that one, let me show you one diagram. So look at this diagram. Okay, now what we will do is we will assign a private link. Okay, we will assign a private endpoint to this particular storage account. Now by assigning a private endpoint, what you mean is actually you are going to assign a private IP from the VNet that you have created, one of the VNet that you have created on your Azure cloud. So this account, storage account, will also be reachable on some private IP instead of some random public IP. Okay, now that is the thing. Now you will assign a private link. How to assign a private link? There is a lot of documents lying over there. It's a very simple, straightforward process how to assign a private link, private endpoint. But once you have assigned the private endpoint, there will be the DNS entry that will be created in the Azure for that one. Okay, now what I have to do is I want that this particular VM, instead of going to the public IP of that storage account, uses the private IP. Now this VNet will have some private range. Now you will assign one of the IP to this storage account, and you can update your DNS server over here. Okay, to resolve the test disk live2.blob.windows or blob.co.windows.net to resolve to this private IP. But the question is how this server is going to reach to this private IP, because this is a private IP in the virtual network of a cloud. It's some different network. How my network can reach to this virtual network? So for that one, what you have to do is you have to create point to site connect VPN connectivity with your Azure cloud. For that one, I have placed a VPN gateway on my VNet. How to create a VPN gateway? That is also very simple. Once you have created a VPN gateway, after that you can download the VPN gateway configuration files, and you can install that VPN on this your ComServe. Once that files has been there, you will download that one, and the VPN connectivity will be created to your VNet. Now this VM will be able to ping all the server inside this VNet, depending upon, of course, the security rule. We are not considering the security rules over here. Now we are assuming there is no security rule or the firewall rule which is blocking as of now. We have not placed the firewall over here. If the firewall is also there in between, as your firewall or something has been placed in between, then also there will be some routes and all that that you can create. Okay, now we have kept these things very simple. We have the VPN gateway over here. VPN gateway has provided me with the point to site connectivity. Now this VM, through this VM, I will be able to ping or connect or reach to any of the IP which is there inside the VNet. So that means I should able to reach this storage account as well. But the point is how my on-premise infrastructure will identify that I need to reach to the storage account on the specific IP, because right now when this Commvault will try to reach to this storage account, it will use a simple link test disklib2.blob.co.windows.net, and that is actually a HTTPS request which will be resolved to the internet itself. So for that one, if I want that this my on-prem server should be pointing to the storage account via some private IP, okay, for that one what I can do is I can either make a host file entry or I can create a DNS entry for that. Now, even before I can make that one, what I will do is I will go over here, and I will say connect to the VPN. I am connecting to the VPN right now that I have in the cloud. Okay. Once I connect it to the VPN, now they will be established. Commvault, my this console will be able to establish or directly ping the VMs or the private IP that I have in the cloud. That means, this means if I create the DNS entry, or I can say the host file entry. So first I will create the host file entry. I will go to the Windows. I'll go to the system 32, go to the drivers, go to the etc folder. You can see this host file. So I will just open it with a notepad, and I will just remove these are the entry that I have created. 170.168.1.4 is the private IP that has been assigned to my storage account. If you want to verify that one, you can go to the test disk lib2. And if I go to the test disk lib2, in that one, I should be able to see where you can say, I will scroll down and there will be something coming up with the name private endpoint connection. So if you will go to the private endpoint connection, you can see that has been applied. There is a private link that has been created with the name CV test2, and you will be able to see all the details and IP and everything. So you can see this is the FQDN entry that has been made, test disklib2.blob.co.windows.net, which is resolving to the IP 172.168.1.4. Now I want Commvault to use this specific IP 172.168.1.4 instead of using any random IP. Okay, now random public IP. Okay, so for that, what I have done is I have opened the host file entry, and in the host file entry, I have created these two entries. Like these are the two links I was having, but if you will make the first link test.blob.co.windows.net, that also will work. I put the IP over here. I will save this file now. Okay, I'll save this file and close this one. I have I have already created the VPN connectivity, and now I have created the DNS entry or the host file entry as well. So that means I will now, if I will try to run the backup, these backups will be running over the private IP, that is 170.168.1.4. Now what I will do is, before that, I will again try to verify the connectivity, whether I'm able to reach that storage or not. Okay, so I will say, I will just come out of it, and I will just again go to that base folder. Okay, and I will go to the Commvault content store. I will go to the base folder again, and go to the cloud test tool. So I will open this cloud test tool. In this one, I will simply say enter. I will say Microsoft Azure storage. In the Azure account name, I will say test disk lib 2. And in the access key, I can copy the access key from my account. So I will go to the access key. I'll copy this access key and put it over here. Once you put it over here, you will enter the container name blob1 and just enter, and you will say press I want to continue with that. So once you click on enter, see now it is now also it is able to reach. Now many people can argue on that one, that might be still in the background, it's still trying to reach on the internet, that also we will verify. Okay, that on what particular IP it is trying to make a connection. Okay, now if I try to run the trace RT as well, trace RT, and sorry, I will just run this command again. Now you can see that it is trying to reach to the IP 172.168.1.4 instead of 52.239.169. And you can see that this is my VPN IP range 173.168.1.02 through which it's trying to reach. Earlier on, it was just trying to reach to my a DNS server that I have. So you can see that one now it has been modified. We'll further identify that one through the few of the experiment and by reading the few of the logs. So right now, what will be happening, guys, overall, if you have done all these things which I've told you, now the data will be traveling over the VPN connectivity. Now the data, if you will try to take a backup, data from this console will travel to this VPN gateway and write the data to the storage account instead of going to the insecure internet connection. Right now it is going via a VPN connection that you have. Okay, now you got the steps. That is, if you want to send the data to the storage account, you have to create the private endpoint for that storage account. Once the private endpoint has been created, after that you need to make sure you create a VPN connectivity from your on premises to your cloud. Once you have the VPN connectivity, then you have to create the DNS entry. Once you have created the DNS entry, it will automatically start taking your backup on your through the VPN channel that you have created. Okay, now if I want to run the backup, I will still be able to run the backup for this particular subclient. So I will say right click on backup. Now once you click on backup, so you can select I want to run a full backup and click on OK. Now once you click on OK, a job controller job will be coming up. So you can see this job has started 2131. Now this job also should get complete 2131. Okay, so we'll wait for this particular job also get complete. Guys, you can see this job ID 2131 got completed successfully. Okay, we can perform few of the experiment as well to verify that one is the really it has make any changes in the background or not. So for that one, what I will do is I will simply go and I will just break my VPN connectivity. So I will just say disconnect. Now once you disconnect, now my Commvault should not able to reach that library because it's still be trying to reach to the IP 172.168.1.4, which is not reachable now because I have break the VPN connectivity. So let's try to run the backup now. If you will try to run the backup now, your backup should not be running. It should not get complete beyond 20 to 25%. So if I say backup, okay, so you can right click on the backup and you can say I want to run a full backup and click on OK. Now once you click on OK, if you will go to the job controller, there will be a new job that will be coming up. We'll just wait for that job. This is 2132 job that has started. Now meanwhile this job is running. Let's see, like I'm not expecting this job to proceed beyond 20 to 25%. Okay, meanwhile this job is running, what we will do is we'll try to verify the when the connection was made in the last backup, then connection was made to which you can say to through which IP. So I can say gxtail. I can open that gxtail. In that gxtail, I will try to open a log. I can say I will open the log files for a log folder, and in that log folder, I will try to specifically look for one of the log which is say cloud test tool, and I say open this one. Now once you click on open, over here I should able to see it getting connected on the IP 172.168.1.4. Okay, so we'll just browse and we'll see. You can see that connected to test disk library 2.blob.co.windows.net on the IP 172.168.1.4 through the port number 443, which is the HTTPS port request. Okay, this is also the one of the way that you can verify that yes, communication is happening over the private endpoint. Okay, this cloud test tool log, that you can use it in the background, because I try to create a connectivity, and then after that these logs were created. Now since this backup is running, this backup has reached to 20%. I'm not expecting it to grow more than 20-25%. So we'll just wait for 5 minutes, okay? Because earlier on, it will take a lot more time to show me the error, but earlier on the old backup has hardly taken 2 minutes to get complete, okay? So this one has already passed few of the time. It has already passed 1 minute, 2 minutes over there. So what we're gonna do is we are going to wait for a few minutes and see the progress. I am not expecting any kind of progress in this backup because I have break the VPN connectivity. This is also one of the way that I'm verifying that I am able to send the data to the library right now or not, or the data is traveling on my private, was traveling on the private link, because I have broken that private VPN link that I have created. So we'll just wait for 5 minutes and we'll see the status of this backup job, that how it progress after the 5 minutes, just to verify that, okay? So, guys, you can see that even after 5-6 minutes, this backup it's still running and it has just reached to 20%. There is stream on that one. You can see the data transfer is 0, and see it will take a little more time to show up the error. But yes, this backup will not be running or will not get complete because we do not have connectivity. Commvault is trying to reach to the storage account on 172.168.1.4 because of the DNS entry, and we do not have the reachability to that IP because I have broken up that VPN connectivity. If I go back to that diagram, I have broken up this connectivity. Okay, so guys, this is a little about introduction about the cloud uh, cloud library that you have. What are the best practices, how the data transfer will be happening, how you can make sure the data is traveling on the private link, what tier need to be selected, and all that. Okay, so thank you so much, guys. Do subscribe to my channel for more video. There will be a lot more videos, exciting videos coming up from the automation perspective. We will be doing a lot of automation related videos as well, so stay tuned. Thank you so much.